think we'll get started. Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Laura Hodgkiss and I'm the Event and Training Team Leader here at Staffordshire Chamber of Commerce. I'm delighted today to introduce Emily Whitehead, Emma Clarke and Mark Brammar for the Restarting Visitor Economy Right Tools for the Job webinar. Like I said earlier, we cannot see you today, but there is plenty of opportunity for you to interact with the speakers today via the chat function at the bottom of your screen, the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and of course if you want to raise your digital hand as well, they will be taking questions throughout the presentation today. Mark, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Good morning and welcome to everybody. You've got 3 for the price of 1 today, 3 presenters. This is our 3rd webinar in our Reviving the Visitor Economy series that we've done with the Chamber. So very much looking forward to presenting today and talking all about the right tools for the job to get yourself ready and relaunch for the big relaunch in early July. About the presenters, Emma Clarke. Emma's 20 years experience working in tourism, culture and heritage, and she set up her own business, Triquest, which provides consultation, mentoring and guidance, and she's still specialising in cultural heritage events, festival markets, and Emma's recently completed a project to create commercial bookable experiences in places of faith across England. Emma is a funding specialist and she's worked a great deal with Heritage Lottery Fund and with Arts Council funding for her clients as well. Emily Whitehead. Emily's a coach, consultant and trainer, again over 20 years experience in marketing training. Emily works primarily with SMEs and micro businesses, helping them to tell their stories and create marketing strategies and collaborate. And she is currently an entrepreneur in residence at Staffordshire University and probably known to you locally as the founder of what was Simply Staffordshire is now Simply Great Britain, which is helping to put micro businesses on the map throughout the community. Myself, Mark Brammar, I've got X number of years experience in marketing and PR roles in the public and private sector. I've worked in local authority tourism. I was headed up membership and marketing at the Chamber for 16 years and set up my own marketing and PR consultancy, MarkBrammar Associates, in 2012. All 3 of us have been involved starting in 2013 with the Destination Staffordshire Business Support Programme. And I know Andrea is here today from Destination Staffs, Andrea Salmons, who heads up Destination Staffordshire. We worked on a one-to-one basis with visitor economy businesses on various subjects, marketing, communication, staff development, and helping really a lot of small and micro businesses to get up to speed. So I'm now going to hand you over to Emily, who's going to start off the webinar today.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me okay. Thank you so much, Mark, for the introduction. So this webinar is really a follow-on from our last webinar, which was talking about the communications and the things we needed to think about when we're planning to reopen our businesses. And obviously, all of you are fully aware that things are changing hour by hour. So thank goodness Chester Zoo gets to reopen. But I think there's lots of things changing all the time. There is some guidance, but then there are other people who feel that they're not getting enough guidance. So I think there's an opportunity here to share best practice. So please do use the chat or the Q&A to share what you're doing too, because this is about us gathering together as a visitor economy community, as well as just us 3 today broadcasting ideas. So don't forget, these are things that you can be doing. These are ideas to help you be in the most robust and resilient position when you reopen. And I think it's vitally important that you focus in on your communication and your relationship with your customers and audience, making sure that that is strong and confident as we go into the next few weeks. So I wanted to talk about optimizing the digital landscape. I think, first of all, it's really important to understand how your audience has changed. Now, some of you will have that knowledge anecdotally. You know, it could be as simple as just analysing the types of comments and engagements that you've had on maybe social media posts. Maybe some of you have talked directly to potential customers and visitors on the telephone and just got a bit of an idea about what's important to them. So, you know, all of us have seen a wide range of approaches to the easing of lockdown in terms of the general population. Some people are still very cautious about leaving home. Others are quite confident about leaving home and resuming life as normal. But there are some tools and tech to help you do that. So you can start with very simple things like checking what your social media insights are telling you about the kind of content people are responding to and the way people are responding to that. So if some of you are using Facebook, Instagram, then check the insights button on those platforms to really dig into the types of content that gets responded to, the bits of information that your customers are, or your audience are responding to, which bits of information that you've shared has been the most popular, for example, and it will give you a very quick and easy insight into what they're feeling and what they're thinking. Remember that to view your audience as people that you can build relationship with. So I think being really open and honest is important. So that might be, you can also look at your Google Analytics on your website. So you can have a good look at what sort of journey people are taking through your website, the pages that they're most interested in the things that they're clicking on more often. And you can also think about other analytics. So the analytics on Twitter accounts can also give you really good information if Twitter is a platform that you use. Think too about using the simple Google search tool. So if you are Googling or you use keywords and phrases that you think applies to your business, do that on a new browser. So if you generally use Safari, then use Chrome. If you generally use Chrome, use Firefox, so that you haven't got any kind of history mixed up in there. And start to search using the words you think people are using and see what comes up. So it could be cafes in Stoke-on-Trent, for example, independent cafes in Stoke-on-Trent. You might like to see what sort of search results come up. But also if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can see what Google's related searches are. And again, this gives you a really quick, easy insight into what sorts of things people are searching for. And do you notice, for example, that people are searching for socially distanced cafes in Stoke-on-Trent, or safe places to visit, or socially distanced places to visit, or COVID compliant places? You know, start to notice if this kind of language is coming into people's search terms, and then you can be ahead of the curve in terms of responding to that. And we'll talk in a minute about optimizing website for that kind of search, etc. The other thing to think about is just simply communicate with your audience. So use polls, for example. Both Twitter and Facebook allow you to use polls as part of your post content, and you can add a range of different questions. My suggestion would be is to keep that really simple. So do a different set of polls, just asking a yes or no answer. People need to do that quickly, or maybe just a couple of options. So for example, you could ask, what is most important to you? This or this? Especially if some of you are trying to navigate what's best to do in your business. So you will be able to gauge pretty quickly based on your audience type and your customer type what sort of activity they are looking for most from you. So they're using something like polls or surveys. Surveys, if you have an email marketing subscription list, you've got a list of people that you email regularly in your business, use surveys again to just say, hey guys, we are planning to reopen. These are the measures we've put in place. Please, could you give us some additional information? What is most important to you? Do you like this? Is this suitable for you, etc.? And using something like Google Forms is free and easy. If some of you are SurveyMonkey users, great, that's brilliant. But as I say, using something like Google Forms, you can create a very easy, quick survey for free and send the link to anybody that you need to. You could even share that link on a social media post too. So that's understanding your audience and making sure that you're using all the tools and tech you can to really dig in. The more, I mean, knowledge is power here. So the more you know about your audience, the better, because we can see national trends and we can see general ideas, but actually you knowing your audience is going to be vital. The next step is about optimizing your website. So I'm assuming all of you have websites. If you don't, we can talk about social media in a minute, but I'm guessing that all of you have got a landing space and a website, even if it's just a few pages. But it's important to start to optimize your website, i.e. make your website most responsive to the new types of searches that are coming through on browsers. So there are several ways you can do that. If you have a web designer or a web developer who works with you closely, then this isn't a really big job. Maybe if you feel technically cautious, you can ask them and have a discussion. But I think it's important you have the knowledge so that you can ask the right questions from your web developer. Otherwise, for those of you who've got access to the back room of your website, there are options here. So the first thing to do is probably find out what the keywords are and do a keyword tool, or use a keyword tool to find what keywords are being used. So something like moz.com, that's moz.com, have got a month's free trial at the moment, so that you could drop onto there for free and start to do some keyword searches, and they will tell you what is trending, what is being used more regularly. It'll give you locations, etc. So that's extremely useful. Think too about as I say, add this into the Google search that you've already done. Think about using something like Google Console. So Google Console is part of Google's wider suite of platforms to support website optimization. So there's Google Analytics, which tells you about the traffic you acquire, how people travel through your website, and where they land and why they bounce off. But Google Console will do something slightly different. It will check the speed of your website. It will check crawl errors. You don't need to worry about what they are if you don't know, but effectively places where the Google spiders get stuck, in layman's terms, and also any broken links or anything that is stopping your website from performing properly. And this really is important because you are doing all you can to be a good result in Google searches. Check too what your metadata is. Metadata is the general kind of labeling that has gone on your website for Google to read. So for example, if you hover over the top tab of any page on your website, a little white box will come up to describe what that page is. So if your home page says website address and then home, then that is telling Google absolutely nothing about your homepage other than it is a homepage of a website. So this meta title needs to describe exactly what that page is. This is vital for those of you who followed our top tips last week and, for example, added a COVID statement onto your website. Does that clearly say this business name and a COVID statement? And that will give Google the confidence that your website has that information within it. The other bit of meta that you need to, or metadata you need to add, is make sure all your images are tagged. So these are called alt tags, alternative tags, and you can hover over any of the images on your website and check again whether a little white box pops up with the name of that image. And if some of you have added new images to your website with pictures of your socially distanced chairs and tables or your new outside area, then again, this is really important. Use an SEO scorer on your website too. So if you have got a WordPress website, make sure the plugin Yoast is added to your website. That's Y-O-A-S-T, toast with a Y. This gives you a simple traffic light system. That's really useful. If you've got a Wix or a GoDaddy website or a Squarespace website, all of those have their own SEO scoring systems. And this is about this is a short term making sure you're optimized, but also a long term game to make sure that you are constantly ensuring and analysing, not necessarily changing, but analysing that your website answers the questions that your audience are asking on Google. You also need to think about your wider Google rankings. So how many of you are regularly updating and checking your Google My Business? So your Google My Business profile is the little box that comes up on the right hand side if you put your website address into a Google search. That's the box with possibly a map, doesn't have to be if you're an online business, a map, reviews, messaging service, any of your linked booking sites, for example, if you're on booking.com, then it will also list that too. It's absolutely vital that you have got that optimized and updated using the same keywords and language in your introduction so that Google really understands that you are a live, proactive, useful business providing the relevant and important information that your audience is searching for. So make sure that you log into your Google My Business and ensure that your images are right, your keywords are right. You can also attract new reviews. So if you go into the admin area of your Google My Business, it will give you a link that you could add to the bottom of your email, or you could add onto the posts on your social media to invite reviews. Again, if you haven't had visitors for 3 or 4 months, but you know that some of your visitors from before that just didn't get round to reviewing, ask them now retrospectively, because having new updated live reviews on your Google search and your Google rankings will really be improved. So it's important to think about that. And also you can turn on Messenger now within your Google My Business as well as with your Facebook page. Don't forget social media. So I know that we talked about social media a lot last week. Social media is vital, not only because it's a way of communicating, but also can help your general optimization, your rankings and your digital landscape. So think about your bios in Twitter and Instagram and your about page on your Facebook page, because they essentially form the metadata or the meta title, just like your website, of your platform account. So for example, if you have used a particular phrase like 4-star luxury holiday cottage in Staffordshire, that's a bit dull, but you know that bit of metadata is on your website, then make sure you're using that same phrase within your about page and bio, because it helps Google and other browsers to understand how your business is all linked up and that you are again a good, proactive, trusted website or business to go to. Again, use tools like Facebook's new COVID update opportunity. So when you post on Facebook, it gives you the opportunity to label that post as a COVID update. And again, as you reopen, you can give these vital updates, because I'm guessing that most of you are changing things as regularly as the information we're getting from the government. So if you've updated something, you can add it there. And that really leads me on to my last point, which is about adding new content regularly. Don't be afraid to continue to add lots of content. Step out in front of your camera, stand in front of people, video yourself with latest updates, include new blogs and vlogs, and that will again support your digital landscape and help you optimize everything you're doing online. So I hope that was helpful, and I'm now going to be quiet and hand over to the next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the technology that's at your fingertips and how you can run your business using the technology. I've been researching what opportunities there are for businesses to try and reduce the amount of hand-to-hand contact that might be made between guests and employees. It's amazing what people are actually doing out there and the growing technological developments that are available to you. However, I do want to say, before I say anything else, I'm not telling you to rush out today and change everything. But maybe when you're looking to upgrade something or develop something, or if you feel there's an area in your business that is not COVID safe, as they're saying, you might like to use some of the suggestions that I'll give you today. Due to the uncertainty of the changes in guests' needs at the moment after the epidemic, and accommodation providers need to review their existing services, offerings and hardwired setups to adapt to changes in the guests' experiences. To cope with the shift in consumption patterns, accommodation can make full use of existing online platforms to enhance interaction with customers. Post-pandemic guests are going to expect elements of a digital experience along their journey, meaning that everything from confirming the reservation up until checkout could possibly be done using digital tools. I remember I stayed over in America last year with work, and before I left here, they asked me to upload an app so that when I arrived there, I could link into their Wi-Fi. Very simply, it gave them my details, but also it meant that I was able to get into their Wi-Fi and use my phone for a lot of interaction with the hotel when I was there, and they could interact with me as well. I could update them on my estimated time of arrival and things like that. Every guest will expect some form of tech interaction now going forward. The extent to which accommodation, and in that respect restaurants, pubs, attractions can offer this will determine their overall satisfaction. Easy, contactless check-in driven by technology could be a good start. Accommodation that only offers physical room keys, TV and aircon remotes, shared tablets or menus when ordering could be seen sometimes as careless and irresponsible. So think about ways that you could perhaps move away from handing things over and giving paper to people. Offering your guests an online platform where they can check in, they can order their food, they can change the channels, even open their curtains and doors. That type of convenience to your guests they will appreciate going forward. So before you start thinking about the technology once your guest has arrived, you need to think about how they're going to book their accommodation or reserve a table at your restaurant, or even a seat at your pub if you're going to restrict access. For an accommodation provider, many of you, I assume, will be linked to online booking platforms such as booking.com, cottages.com, Airbnb. Now, are they giving you the space on their platform to let customers know about the measures that you have put in place for their stay, to make sure their stay is safe? We've heard some fantastic stories, but if you're not getting the message out there, like Emily was saying, how is the customer going to know about that to make an informed decision to come and stay with you? Are these booking platforms squeezing you on your cancellation policies that perhaps will affect your income going forward? Or if they're providing a customer COVID advice, is it as good as the advice that you yourselves are giving and the processes that you yourselves are putting in place? So think about your own website, just like Emily was talking about just now. And do you have the capacity on your website to deliver online booking on your own? So that if guests find you directly through your SEO or through your social media, can they book online with you? One thing trends are suggesting that although guests want to limit people-to-people contact, they will want to speak to someone about the safety and about what processes you're putting in place. So they will most probably look to your online profiles to try and book direct with you, or even definitely to talk to you. But once the guest has booked with you, what other technologies can you use? First thing you need to think about is your Wi-Fi. Is it powerful enough to be able to implement all this technological advances? I know that some venues like to market themselves as a place away from smartphones and tablets, but to enable guests to feel safe with a low contact environment, there needs to be some element of technology, and therefore some element of Wi-Fi. Contactless check-in. We all know our guests appreciate a smiling, happy greeting, but there are ways you can implement an automated self-check-in procedure. Hilton Hotels since 2015 have been operating a virtual check-in and digital key system using a smartphone in their hotel. Guests download an app before they arrive. Once they arrive, they can check in using the app. Once the room is ready, they are informed by the hotel what room number they're in, what the code is for that room, the room key, and then they use their phones to go straight to it and open the door. For the door lock, you can use a simple electronic Bluetooth enabled door lock, and I was searching on these the other day, and you can buy them direct from Amazon. You could update the code each time, each guest, and send it to them. You don't need to be using some some fancy app. You could just be communicating directly with the guests via text or even via WhatsApp. That's one of the trends that are coming through at the moment, or an app, and tell them the code for the door as soon as it's ready for them to go into. But if you think about an app or some form of communication system like that, once a guest has the app on their phone, you have a whole communication channel with them. Guests can communicate with you if they need extra pillows or anything to make their stay more comfortable. For a more personal touch, why not agree, as I said, to use the WhatsApp and the text messaging? Again, they can communicate with you directly, very simply, and it's almost on a one-to-one basis. But it's not just accommodation who can benefit from apps. Restaurants and pubs and attractions can ask their guests to download their apps on arrival to see the menu, both food and drink. In the restaurant, the waiting on staff can take orders using their normal own iPad and tablet, because nobody else is going to be touching that. But also look at apps where people can order their food or drinks, say from the pubs, to reduce queues at the bars. It may mean an increase in table serving, waiting on staff, but it could also be the reason why someone actually comes to your pub rather than not coming to it. Especially if you're looking to encourage guests to use outside space, so rather than coming inside and outside, because you're wanting them to stay outside, if they can use some form of app to make their order and then have the table service brought to them. There are a number of pubs who are running a click and collect option on their websites. You click on the site, choose the drinks, choose what time you're going to be in their beer garden to get them, and then you pay for it and you turn up. They have a cut-off time the night before, and obviously that restricts numbers as well. And it allows for social distancing. Attractions could use an app in the same way to get visitors to order their snacks before they get to the cafe. So when they're walking around the attraction or around the museum, so they can think, oh, fancy tea, or coffee, sandwiches, order via the app. And then when they get there to the cafe, the drinks or the snacks are actually ready for them. You could think of a system like they use in theatres. So you have a designated spot where your drink and your snack will be, and you can just go straight and get it rather than having to queue. Same could be used for online shops at the attractions and museums as well. The people can when they're sitting down, when they're resting, they can look at the shops and have it ready and all bagged up. So when they get to the shop, it's all ready for them. Again, they're not queuing. Technology exists to support the move to paperless rooms and digital interaction. Accommodation providers are using Amazon Alexa to control guest rooms. From controlling the television, it can change the channels, it can change the volume, it can move between Sky TV to Netflix, Amazon Prime. The Alexa can also do the lighting, switch lighting on, dull it, switch it off, and it can even be used to draw curtains as well. And adjust the room temperature. All this is stopping you from needing remote controls in the rooms. If you don't have Alexa, what about thinking about your guests, what they carry around with them all the time, and encourage BYOD, bring your own device. See, your smartphone. Guests tend to turn up with a smartphone, with a tablet, with their laptops when they go into the room. My husband uses his smartphone to control our smart television. So you can use them as TV remotes. You can use them for the light switches and then link into the hotel app, so they can use it for ordering food, their room services, and they can use it to communicate with you. And most of you have probably already heard of smart lighting. The Philips Hue smart lighting kits start from £26 in Currys and link directly into Alexas, Google Assists, and things like that. The guest does not need to touch the light switch. They just need to talk to it or talk to the Alexa or link it to their smartphones, and they can switch the lights on and off. Finally, touchless payment systems. We all know click and chip limits have been extended up to £45, but that really isn't enough if you're staying in a bedroom or you're going out for dinner. So can you accept mobile wallets or mobile payments, which have a limit of £100, and some even have higher. My son's convinced his is higher than £100. He's used it for other things. So you can get higher payments, or via some form of app, which the customer can link into their smartphone, pay it online, and then they've also got their receipt as well on their phone ready. So there's a lot of ideas to think about, and there's so much information out online. There's so many great case studies to use. There's technology companies all over the place at the moment showing what they can do and how they can get involved. Some of them, like I said, could be quite cheap and quite simple, and you don't need to do everything, just a few things. But like Emily was saying before, make sure you tell people what you're doing so they understand before they arrive and have an informed decision. So next I'm going to hand over to Mark, who will talk about optimizing your digital landscape. Okay, Mark.
Thank you very much, Emma. Yeah, the pandemic has given us time to stop, take stock, and think about our markets moving forward. And I think we've got to be very optimistic now and look at the opportunities that it's created. You know, all the things that Emily and Emma have just talked about, a totally new way of selling our business, and things that we can do to make the customer experience, enhance that experience, make it better, add things that we didn't have before. And it also gives you a great opportunity to work in collaboration with other suppliers at the moment to add to your offer. Thinking, for example, around the food and drink offering, you know, with food deliveries, with party packs, drinks packages, pub in a box, that sort of thing. There's a lot we can do, and you know, really want to encourage us all to collaborate, to help each other as a community, as a visitor economy community going forward. I like the idea of one accommodation self-catering that was actually doing a walks pack where they were supplying the maps and guidebooks for people, and they were actually asking people their sock size, so everybody had a really good, comfortable, hard-wearing pair of walking socks as well when they get to the accommodation, which I think is a fantastic idea, and it gives you something else that you can add to your package to sell on to people, and it all helps the bottom line at the end of the day, but it makes you feel like a caring accommodation provider in this case who's actually gone a bit further to make the experience fantastic for their customers. So opening up yourself to the local community, I think is really important at this time. There are plenty of groups around. There's plenty of forums through destination staffs, through all the local partnership groups, just through your local neighbours and friends and other businesses within your community. You know, get together online and see what you can do to enhance the offer there. If you are lucky enough to have e-commerce on your website, that's fantastic. Somewhere where you can have an online shop with options. But it can be quite a cheap solution to add that. But if you don't have that, don't worry. You can do it through your communication section on your website. You can do it through your social media, and you can use links for payment, or you can use the links direct to the other suppliers you're going to work with. So, for example, if you're working with a local restaurant that's doing takeaways, you can send a link straight through to that restaurant. Be mindful with your visitors as well that because of the high demand at the moment for takeaways, or when certain pubs and restaurants open, there's going to be a lower volume and higher demand. So if you're trying to get people to, if you're speaking to them about going to a particular restaurant or having food from a particular takeaway, you don't want them to be disappointed because they've tried to book when they actually get to your accommodation and there's no slots for the next 5 days. So it's something that you need to work with the other venues to make sure that you're well ahead of the game, and before your guests get to your establishment, that they've already got these meal experiences or drinks or party experiences, whatever it is, booked well in advance. So there's still a few weeks left, a couple of weeks left to do an audit of the assets that you've got around you. So what accommodation is there, what food and drink, what attractions are going to be open, what natural assets are the countrysides, the walks, the heritage trails, for example, that they can go around, what, you know, the culture of the area as well. Are there going to be any sort of limited events or cultural things that they can do at the moment? So I would urge you all to engage the community, as I talked about there. Take advantage of any funding at the moment that's out there. You know, if you did want to upgrade your website, or you did want to add some extra tech at the moment, there have been discretionary grants as well as the other government grants that are available. So, you know, have a look at the funding. If you're not sure where to go for funding advice, a good start is the Stoke and Staff's Business Growth Hub helpline, which is 0300 111 8002. I will put that on the chat for you as well. Create incentives and rewards around your website, around your social media, to try and build your brand loyalty. And don't forget other messages as well. It's still quite important. You know, the environment's perhaps been pushed back a little through the pandemic, but, you know, if you're using, you know, renewables, renewable cosmetics, refillable bottles, you're plastic free, you're using the local supply chain to cut down on food miles. Don't forget these very important messages as well. And I just reiterate Emily's point that keep adding content to your social media, add the content to your website, blog, photo, video to get the message across. So thank you very much. That's my little piece. I'll hand you back now to the panel.
Thank you, Mark. Sorry about that. I put up your wrong slide. I put up Emily's slide and kept that going, so I'm really sorry about that. Complete blame the technician here. Okay, right. So our last part of the presentation is on taking your event online. Before I go on to that, we did have a question, well, a statement from Wendy, who said that she's up in the Peak District and struggles with Wi-Fi. Some of the things I was talking about, if you think about using smartphones, a lot of guests, obviously on the smartphones, a lot of people nowadays are having unlimited data on their phones, or quite a high amount of data. So they will be using their provider rather than necessarily your Wi-Fi. So they could perhaps use systems linking to you. The doors that I was talking about, the door locks, that's through Bluetooth. So you just need to give them the code and they can get the Bluetooth then to and from the door locks. So that's just a link that's made through there as well. And like you say, other things that won't work, but there are things that can. And if it won't work, if your Wi-Fi is not good, then that, as Emily was talking about before, you just need to tell them that's, you know, we can't put certain things in place because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah, your menus, you could put your menus on the television, so you don't have to leave paper copies in the room, so lots of people aren't touching paper, or you just put a fresh menu in the room and advise a guidance pack each time. So, and again, tell the guests that. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about is events online. So during the year, there are many events that should have happened, many events and festivals, and many who this year have had to cancel or are asking themselves, should they still go ahead if they're booked for September, October, November. I know Mark and I have been discussing that on one that he's running as well. I was really inspired back in very early April when I was on a networking Zoom meeting, which included a lady who ran a literary festival every year at the end of March. So you can imagine what went through her head midway through March. And with a week's notice of everything closing down, she took the event from an outside live event to an online event, and she still managed to run it commercially. I think she said she made about £100 and that was it. She did cancel some of the events which are going to be held in September at the moment, and they will be held live. That's her plan at the moment. But I always find her very inspiring that she managed to just literally just turn this event around. So there are a number of ways of doing this, and I think you'll have seen all over social media over the past few weeks that people have been able to do more and more online, and people are getting less and less scared of doing things online. So how I was looking at running an event or a festival online, think about how you currently deliver your booking system, your ticketing system. do you use an online system? I've used DigiTickets in the past. I find them really, really helpful, really easy system to use. They charge either a lump sum or a limited amount on tickets that are sold. And you obviously just can bear that in mind into your costings when you put that together. As I said, when you ring them up, they can be so helpful as well to talk to you. And their ticketing system, people don't know, they've moved away from your website onto the ticketing system as well. So once you've sold that ticket to the guest, then you find you obviously have your artist or your demonstrator ready. As I said, a lot of social media at the moment, people have been doing online presentations. They've been doing ticketing systems themselves. So if you can find an artist or a demonstrator who's been doing that in the past, then actually they'll know what to do with the online festivals and events. So that's obviously a good thing to have, because you have someone who already knows what they're doing. Otherwise, find somebody who's happy to go in front of the camera. And if they're doing demonstrations and they're artists, then they should be in any case. Get them set up with a smartphone, a tripod, or more professional if your setup budget allows that to do it, and get them ready to be filmed. Like here today on our Zoom, we can't see you, the delegates watching us. You can only see us panelists. So set the system up. You could use a Zoom system like this. It's really easy to link into, and then you'll just have your artist or demonstrator on live, and everybody sitting behind like like today, like delegates. Film it, or you can film it through YouTube, or there are other streaming sites to do that. Before you go live, send the customers who have bought the tickets a link to the streaming site, which allows them access to watch. They can then watch it and see what's going on, and then obviously after the time, then it will be finished. So you manage to take some of your event online. If you're doing a full festival, then you give different links depending upon the different events, different artists, and how they're getting involved. Now, I know it's not just about the artists and the demonstrations that make a festival. There's also the atmosphere. And Emily, I think you've got some great ideas on how to encourage the perfect atmosphere at an event.
Yeah, I think for me, the key is collaboration. So in your event, you may well have had food stalls, drink stalls, you may have had other supplementary entertainments. There might have been something else that you could do. So think about contacting those businesses and creating collaborations for your online event. So for example, you could you could collaborate and have vouchers for pizzas to be delivered so that people are enjoying a pizza while they're watching you. It could be fizz, it could be ice creams, it could be popcorn, whatever your original plan was, whatever your demographic needs most. And I think that you can do obviously co-promotion. Then you've got more people promoting your event because they are involved, they're getting sales as well as you, so that makes absolute sense. It should cost your festival nothing if there's some kind of collaborative voucher. And when people sign up to your festival before it goes live, then you can be emailing them out with those vouchers so that they can get involved. And I also think that helps create a real community around those people who are having a shared experience. So it really promotes that shared experience. If people have got the hashtag that they're using and they're all chatting about it on Twitter or on Instagram, they can be hashtagging or sharing their own images of eating that pizza, drinking that fizz, enjoying that beer, popcorn, etc. So I think collaboration is absolutely clear. And also, if you're able to gain a little bit of sponsorship out of some of those companies too, then that is key. So I think there's still ample opportunity to provide those kind of additional experiences to provide atmosphere online, as well as just in the same way as you would have done in a live event.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we've now finished our presentation. So are there any questions? Anybody who'd like to ask any questions?
You can raise your hand at this point and ask it live, or you can type it if you feel shy.
Yeah. Is there anything anyone's got? Is everybody ready to open as soon as we can, the 5th of July, 4th of July even, or sooner for some people as well? There was an article that we put on the Staffordshire industry Facebook page the other day that pubs might be able to open sooner. So is everybody ready to open as well?
That's interesting, Emma, actually. So I've heard from about 3 or 4 different sources about pubs being able to reopen on the 22nd of June.
Yeah, it's not been confirmed yet, but it has
No,
been.
it hasn't. So
Ones with a large beer garden, isn't it? I think.
Yes, and I think it's worth, while we're waiting for official announcements, to be very aware that there's quite a lot of gossip, for want of a better phrase, and that might just give us an idea of how quickly we need to respond digitally and operationally. Yeah, absolutely. There's a question just come up.
Yeah, Wendy was just asking if there is any way she can see the videos that we've shown in the past. Yes, they are. Mark, where are they on the Chamber website? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Laura's online, Laura from the Chamber. So if you could type in, Laura, where those video links are.
Yeah, they're on the Chamber website and they all sit on there.
Yeah, so hi, I didn't want to interrupt you all, sorry. So it's literally under events. So basically if you go under the events tab, there's literally a separate tab there, but what I'll do is I'll just pop a link in the chat at the bottom.
Great,
thank you very much. Okay, Wendy, I hope that helps you. And obviously our email addresses are all here if you have any questions and you want, once you've read through the watch the videos, you can link those and give us a shout if there's any extras that we can help you with.
Yeah. This is going up with the archive as well. This webinar is, so if there's anything you want to back on, it's all there.
I think I'd just like to add. Sorry, Emma, I would just like to add as well that there's opportunity for you to have conversation beyond these webinars. So obviously you've got our email addresses there. There are other webinars. The Chamber has got a whole programme of webinars if there's specific things that you need to dig into and challenge by in your business. There's also the tourism Facebook group run by Destination Staffordshire, and that is a Facebook group which has got quite a lot of conversation going on in it. If you've got particular challenges or you want to share best practice, I think that's an ideal place for you to visit, because we all are having our own ideas, we're getting stuck with things, and we also, some of the suggestions that have been made today, you might like to discuss with other people and say, have you tried it? I'm worried about trying it, can I, all those sorts of things. I think it's really important. There are also other places that are running webinars and giving out information. Visit Britain and Visit England are posting on their website with additional information that's coming out as and when. So there's an opportunity there for you to keep in contact, and signing up to their email subscriber list and getting alerts is probably a good idea. Staffordshire University are still running a range of webinars. There's one, in fact, tomorrow, and they are on a range of different subjects. Again, not necessarily visitor economy specific, but certainly full of ideas about how to manage lockdown easing in any small business.
Okay, so just before we leave, Laura has just put the link up on the chat if anybody wants to copy that. So they've got that to chat to link into going forward. And we are nearly finished, I think. If there are any other questions to come up? I've just managed to completely learn that chat. Okay, anything else anybody has any more questions? No? Oh, nope. Okay, and if we're all finished, thank you very much and good luck, and I hope we've been able to help you.
Yeah, good luck everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.